Welcome back to Origins 2024. I have the distinct pleasure here with Champions of Tabletop to talk to a huge friend of the channel. It is AJ Porfirio of Ryder Games. AJ, such a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Hey, great to be here.
Well, we love you at Champions of Tabletop. In fact, you were one of the first channels who actually even cared about us. You had Jamie, also a Foster the People, come on, and man, that made Shay's day.
Awesome. That's great.
It was all Final Girl all the time.
Yes, absolutely.
So thank you for doing that. But
two big fans there. Yes.
Well, how are you doing today? How's Origins going for you so far?
Origins is going great. We're on day 2, and the vibe is amazing. We've got tons of folks walking around. We got people here in the booth checking out Final Girl. We're showing Gateway Island. We got all kinds of stuff going on.
Well, we have a lot to get to today that we're really excited to share. So as you enter year 14, this is not new for you at this point.
Right.
I always love to get the behind the scenes. So what motivated AJ 15 years ago to say, this is something I want to do?
Yeah, so I grew up with games first off. I grew up playing games. My mom brought me the Red Box basic D&D set home when I'm in 2nd grade, just on a whim one day, and I was like, oh my God, what is this? This is amazing. And that was it. That kicked off everything. I played Magic the Gathering, Hero Quest, just everything I could get my hands on growing up. And then I was also an athlete, though, so I played sports, and I actually ended up going pretty far in baseball. So I played a couple of years in the minor leagues. All that to say, when I was kind of pursuing that dream to maybe try to be a big league ball player one day, the games kind of had to get set aside for a while, but then that journey kind of ended. I met my wife, we started a family, and now I'm back,
To clarify, the journey didn't end because he met his wife, right? She was the start of the new journey.
There's some debate about that. My brother-in-law calls her the career killer, so he may think that. I think it was meant to be, it was fate. Baseball is what brought me to my wife.
There you go.
So anyways, we're starting our family. We have babies, and I'm like fiending for some games again. And I'm like, I wonder if there's a cool zombie board game out there, because I love zombies, okay? So I go out and I start scouring the internet, and I come across a zombie game called Last Night on Earth. This is pre-Zombicide. That didn't exist at the time. Last Night on Earth was kind of like the thing. Or at least it was the one that I was like, this looks awesome. So sure enough, she gets it for me for Christmas. I get Last Night on Earth, and my in-laws are in town. I'm like, come on guys, let's play this great board game. And no one will play this board game with me. They are not board gamers.
Story of my life right there.
Yeah. And so I'm like, well, does this thing play single player? No, it doesn't play single player. So then I get the idea in my head, well, what if I just make my own one-player zombie game? And this is the thought that is the genesis of what you see here, Ryder Games. And so I started making my zombie game. But even before that, I found the Game Crafter, which is a site that lets you make a print-on-demand version of your game. And I started learning how to do everything, and all with the goal of eventually making my solo zombie game. And so I'm doing all that. I'm like, I'm going to get some cool art for this. I spend money on my own pocket, get my own art. Well, around that time, like, Kickstarter's becoming a thing. And so I'm like, well, I'm making this game anyway. I'll put it on Kickstarter. If anyone else wants it, I'll make one for me and some for them. Thinking, I'll make a few, maybe 100 copies or something. We raised 10 grand, which back then, that doesn't sound like much now on Kickstarter, but back then, 2011, that was pretty good.
And you followed through, which is great.
I followed through. I printed 1,000 copies, and suddenly I'm a publisher. And I'm a business person, so I was like, oh, this is fun. Like, I'm designing games. I'm starting a business. This was 2011. Yeah.
For the younger viewers out there, put this in context. That's an incredibly stressful time to be doing this because we're just coming out of the 2008-2009 financial crisis.
Yeah.
We've got a housing meltdown, and literally we've watched the stock market have the biggest recession in the history of the country. So you're literally there's a hurricane, and you're like, I could go this. No, I'm going to go right to the eye of it because it's safe in the eye. That's kind of what you did.
It's what I love though. So it's like, it was fun, and I'm fortunate I had a nice corporate job at the time that paid the bills, so I didn't have to like worry about games paying my bills like I do now. Now it does. But yeah, it was my side thing, and it was like a side hustle, and it was fun, and I started integrating into the industry in this great community of people. Like to become a part of it is just such a cool thing, and like.
Well, not to get sidetracked, AJ, but like for all the game crafters out there who, we will have one on our channel, and we're always pushing him of, sometimes done is better than perfect. Get it done, get it out there, build from there. But what were those nights like for you when you were theory crafting and putting this together? I mean, because everybody sees this right here, but they don't see the blood, sweat, and tears of hundreds and thousands of hours.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I was doing literally everything, just me. Graphic design, which I should not have been doing. I'm not a graphic designer. The design, the play testing, like literally everything. The building a website, making social medias, like all of that, doing it by myself. And it was a ton of work after I worked my day job. And I feel very passionate actually about teaching. I actually have started a program where I teach upcoming publishers. You can go to publishboardgames.com. That's my site. And
we'll have that link as well.
Yeah, if anyone's interested. I basically was like, hey, I want to teach what I learned because I did it all myself. I bootstrapped it. And half the time, like you said, fake it till you make it. I didn't even know what I was doing, but I learned by doing it. Make mistakes, small failures, and learn from them, and grow and grow and grow. And that's how we've been able to build this company.
Well, in full transparency, what was probably, when you look back, like the biggest failure you had that led to the biggest success?
Oh gosh, I think trying to do everything, actually, which is maybe it is a little bit of a necessity early on when you're trying to build. But as soon as I started finding others, that were good at graphic design, or are good at marketing, things I'm not the best at, that's how you grow. Right. So you have to grow to a point where you can start to do that. So it's a little bit of a catch-22, because most of us starting out in this business aren't coming with big bags of money, and so you kind of have to do things yourself. But I would say not doing that sooner, because sometimes people just want to help or be involved, and like you want to compensate people and you want to be able to pay people, and you need to do that. But at the same time, there are people out there that want to be part of the journey, and they'll take the payout later. I mean, I did that. I didn't take a dime out of the company for 7 years. But think about that.
That's how you know you have a good wife.
2018 is the first year I took a penny out. Yeah. Which I was fortunate. I have a good job. I didn't need it, but you get to reinvest that money back in.
That's right.
And so, that's something I would have done differently. But luckily, no major. If you have a major catastrophic failure that crushes your company, that's tough to come back from. So I'm very meticulous and careful about those things, and I'm able to distinguish a big, huge decision that could do that versus hey, let's try it. Hostage Negotiator was a solo-only game, which I was originally going to do my zombie game as a solo-only, and I got peer pressured, no, you need to make it at least play with 2 players, and so I did that. And I regretted that actually later on, because you heard the origin story. I wanted a zombie solo game.
That's right.
And so when I got to Hostage Negotiator, I was like, no, it's going to be a 1-player game. I'm not compromising. I don't care what people say that a solo game can't sell. Because at the time it was Friday was it. That was the only. There's probably were some other, but really of any meaningful name, Friday was it. And I was like, I don't care. Hostage Negotiator is the perfect theme for a 1-player game, because you can't really have a player play as the hostage taker killing innocents. That's not a feel good thing anyone wants to do. And so I stuck to my guns. I asked some people, I was like, what do you think? Should I even try to put this in retail? And they were like, Aldo, who was kind of one of he was our consolidator who sells to distributors. He's like, yeah, let's just do it and see what happens. And like, it was awesome. Like, it did great. And it was our first evergreen title. And now we're very well known, Final Girl others, for great solo games. Yeah. And there's a huge audience out there for solo games. Who knew?
Well, we did here at the Champions, because Shay and I both are big advocates of solo, mainly because I don't have friends and my family hate board games, so it's a hard. Thank you, AJ. I appreciate it. Friend of the show. But and I think that's being first to the party of something and really carving a niche. So kind of back to the success, because that's always fun asking people. Because again, kind of like you see the top here, you see the success, but you don't see all the things that are under this box holding it up. So when you kind of think of that from your own life, what was that moment like the first time you started to see that little bit of success where you thought, wait a minute, honey, I'm not going to be a loser here. So Origins. It's just Origins, awesome. That's how it goes. So what was it like to have that feeling of, hey, you married 5-star prospect here?
Well, she might tell it differently, but no, I mean, there were so many moments. Getting to hold your first game in your hands, like the actual produced version, is amazing.
All right, well, here's a quick challenge question. Children or first game?
I gotta go with the babies.
Which baby? You didn't clarify.
The human babies.
Okay,
Matt over here trying to get me in trouble. But it's very close. No.
His son's over there. He's like, Dad, I'm watching this.
My youngest is here. It's a great feeling, though, and like being successful on Kickstarter when you don't know what's going to happen, that feels amazing. And all these things still feel great. And like being able to influence others, being able to hire people and like give people jobs as their livelihood, it was a great feeling. And I don't know, just contributing in a positive way, and like games do that in such a cool way. Everyone has a story of how games have changed their life or connected them or brought joy to their life. It's great.
Well, and isn't it kind of ironic that one of the things you're most known for is probably the closest thing you've ever made to that zombie story, right?
Yeah.
So you put your passion in it.
Yeah, I had huge aspirations for If I'm Going Down to kind of do what we've done with Final Girl and like tons of expansions and build out a world, but the market dictates whether you should keep doing that or not, because I have a lot of great memories with If I'm Going Down, our zombie game, but it wasn't a market success. I got to be honest with myself about that, and that's fine. Like we said, learn, go do the next thing.
That's right.
Get some successes, and then you hit big with Final Girl. Hey, we're gonna keep making it as long as people keep buying it.
And what a perfect time, really, when you think of the landscape of what was going on during the Final Girl rise to fame. Was obviously everybody's stuck at home with COVID, and what a perfect time to put out a horror game that you play by yourself.
It was a perfect time, but it was no one knew though what was coming. So I mean, I remember me and Evan, my business partner, when COVID started, we went to the office and we had to have a real conversation about like, hey, if this goes south, like we're gonna have to let people go, and like, which we don't want to do that, right? But like, how are we going to survive this? Because no one knew what actually ended up happening was going to be board games are going to see an amazing boost because of COVID. And none of us would trade COVID for sales, obviously, but that's just what happened. And so, it turned out being great, not just for solo games, but games in general, people playing games at home with their family. But yes, solo games in particular got a big boost. And we actually kickstarted the first series of Final Girl right after COVID hit. And everyone was saying, don't run Kickstarters right now. It's a bad time to run Kickstarters. Everyone's,
like, I started my company during the biggest recession in American history.
Well, no.
You think I'm afraid of this?
Well, here's my thing. When I start hearing everyone saying don't do a thing, is when I really start thinking about maybe you should be like. Maybe you should
that's
think
very
about,
Warren Buffett of you right there.
I was like, we're doing it.
Right.
One, we didn't actually have that much choice. We had invested so much. It was like, no, we're not waiting 6 months. Like, we need to go. And it was a great Kickstarter, and all that advice, in my opinion, was completely wrong. And I felt bad but like, I sometimes feel bad for new publishers or players that hear experts saying things like that, and like, because someone out there probably delayed or didn't do it, and then they never picked it back up.
Right.
And so, I guess I just say, get second opinions, and like, don't just like. Sometimes the loudest people aren't necessarily who you should be listening to, and trust your gut. Basically.
And your opinion is different depending on where you're at in your journey too. And it's a lot easier to think something here versus when you were here. And sometimes I think we forget, the higher we get, what it was like to be down there. So I think that's brilliant advice.
And you got to take risks. You got to take risks to be successful. You can be, if you play it safe, hey, you may never fail big, but you're also probably not gonna go gangbusters and turn something into a huge company. So,
well, that's what's I think really impressive when you look at Ryder Games as a whole is it would be very easy to stay committed to detective games, but you didn't want to. You didn't see that. Sorry about that. I'm throwing things around. Very passionate. So you could have stuck to detective games. You could have stuck to the horror genre.
Yeah.
But your game that came out right after Final Girl Season 2, garden animals, bugs.
Yeah, garden guests, yeah. Oh, no, we do. I mean, we have popcorn dice. We have garden guests. We have Gateway Island coming.
We're going to get to that one.
Yeah, we don't want to be just necessarily pigeonholed into one thing.
Yeah.
We've had like whole meetings about this because like, hey, there is a school of thought that's like, no, thematic only. That's what you guys are best at. Like, and we're gonna keep doing that stuff. But we also, we like small pusher-like dice games, and Garden Guess is kind of basically an abstract strategy game, and like, we'll do different things, and you never know what's the next thing.
And Garden Guess has been a big success for you guys.
Yeah, it was Game of the Month in Barnes & Noble last month. Yeah, it's been great. We're sold out. We don't even have it here because of that success, and the reprint is on the way, so never fear, everybody.
Yeah, I've bought 3 copies, to share with people in my life because I've found it to be a wonderful entry level. And not to insult it of entry level, but I think it's a wonderful entry style game for people who are newer to the hobby or who are not going to be coming to Origins or to the Gen Cons, but they like the idea of board games, and thematically, there's not many like it.
Maybe they don't like the horror and the heavy themes, and they like the beautiful, artistic looking. Yeah, like, we're just about great game. Like, we want to make great games that people enjoy.
Easy mechanics, but enough strategy to get really strategic with it. And that kind of leads into what's coming next, which is just a whole nother shift for your company. Now, the easy thing to say here is, of course, Final Girl Season 3, but that's not what I'm going to talk about, because I think this is actually a significantly more important creation that I think has real importance for every business that's here. They should be talking to you about this. And that's, of course, Gateway Island.
Yep. So let me grab the box actually real quick.
We'll cut that.
Yeah.
Shay will cut that.
At least the box cover here. This is Gateway Island. This is our Gen Con release for this year. And what this is we want this to be the game. And someone asked the question, hey, I'm new to this board gaming, I'm new to the hobby, where do I start? We want the answer to be Gateway Island. This is a collection of 21 mini games that are going to teach you a whole host of different game mechanisms, different styles of games. There's party games in here, social deduction, dungeon crawl, 2-player abstract, worker placement. I mean, almost everything you could think of, we try to get in this game. And what the Gateway Island does is, after you've played a game, the rulebook actually recommends you a next step game. So, for example, if you play the Great Regatta, which is a racing game, racing boat pressure luck game, you're going to be recommended Popcorn Dice after that, which is our pressure luck dice game. But we're not just recommending our games, okay? We don't have a worker placement game. So a great worker placement game that we all love is Everdell. So we will recommend Everdell to people who liked the worker placement mini game in Gateway Island.
How was the response to that when he started calling these publishers to say, hey, we'd like to use your IP in our game here, but it's actually going to be good for you?
Yeah, so it's like, we told them what we're doing, here's what we're doing. We were technically advised we didn't even have to do that. We could have, through fair use, just put them in there, but we wanted to make sure they wanted to participate. Honestly, I don't know why you wouldn't, because we're promoting their games. Yeah. We did have one that didn't want to do it, and that's fine. We respected that, but pretty much everyone else was like, yeah, what do you need from us? How can we help?
Do we want to say what company that was?
Honestly, I'm not sure I remember.
All right.
I don't think I could even say. But yeah, no. And yeah, no, it's been tremendous. They all sent us a copy of the game because we're going to have video teaches of our games, of our mini games, and then Jamie's going to hold up the box and say, hey, if you like this, here's what to try next.
That's right.
So we love promoting not just ourselves, but other great publishers in the industry. And it works both ways. They're going to have incentive to talk about Gateway Island. So
all boats rise in high tides.
That's right. That's right.
And I think that's, if you're a board game store owner, I think what an incredible tool to always have. Kind of like in the old days when we walk into GameStop and there'd be that precious PS3 set up and you didn't have one at home yet and you're like, oh boy, and then like half the demos didn't work and then you were mad. But I'm still harboring some resentment there. But to like walk into a board game store, I know Dion, who's part of Champions Tabletop, I know this is something that, one of our podcasts, this was our whole news topic that we discussed, is 3 of the 4 of us thought this was a phenomenal idea because for somebody like Dion, to have somebody walk in and say, wow, I thought board games were still just Monopoly. For him to be able to pull this game out and say, let's sit down, let's dink around a little bit, let's find something. Now I can kind of lead you to something that you may like.
Exactly. And that's it. That's the idea. So we showed this at Gamma, where it's a B2B, business to business show. Retailers and distributors are just flipping over this. They love it for that exact reason, because right now, when someone asks, I'm new, where do I start? You're going to get a different answer. You're going to get 10 different answers from 10 different people, and which is fine. There's probably some great recommendations in there, but for the stores to be able to go, hey, it's $25.
Right.
You're not going to like all 21 of these games, probably.
Right.
But you're going to find a handful, several, maybe a lot that you do enjoy. And guess what? We have the next game, the next step for that game the mechanics that you liked. Come on back in, and we're going to get you set up.
That's right.
And so, and for employees, they're excited to be able to. Once the employees know this, they can sit down and play a 5-10 minute mini game. And say, okay, cool, you like that? Check out this game. You've
almost kind of become the Netflix suggestion with this game.
I like that.
That's what I kind of see.
We are the Netflix algorithm of board gaming's Gateway Island.
Well, and like I said, for $25, for those of us out there who have those just far too big collections, and for you on, especially Board Game Geek, we're talking to you because I've seen the shelves.
Oh yeah, we all have them.
We all do.
We can't wait to start your collection.
And what a great game to add to the collection. So when you do have those friends come over and you're so excited, and you can't start with some of those high tier games that you really want to play. The question is always, I don't know, what do you think I would like? And that's the worst question to try to answer for somebody, because I can't dictate to myself half the time. I can look at a game and say, aesthetically, I like it.
Right.
The mechanics, I like the mechanics, but sometimes there's just that thing that doesn't connect.
Right? Yeah.
But to pull this out and say, okay, well, let's sampler. I love, I'm from Kalamazoo. We got Bell's, right? Bell's is a national institution for beer. It's wonderful to sit down and get a little flavor taste and say, okay, I like the Oberon. I like the Two-Hearted little drops there, Bell's partnership.
And also, I would love for everyone to love all 21 games, but it's also what you don't.
Right.
Like, some people don't like social deduction.
Right.
You're going to learn that from this instead of, having to go buy that game or try it with someone else. You can learn that in Gateway Island. learn what you love, learn what you don't, and then go from there.
This is, in my opinion, champion's opinion, this is a must-add for those of you who have a way too big collection or definitely store owners. So with that said, this is coming up. So now that we have kind of talked the past, we've talked the present, I'm going to consider this present because it's Gen Con.
It's definitely present,
But what's next for Van Ryder? Because as you know, it's a what have you done for me lately?
Right. So our next, we recently announced and shared the box cover for our next big release. It's a crowdfunding project coming in the end of this year called Tales of Myth and Legend. And this is a paragraph book game. So if you're familiar with Tales of the Arabian Nights, Agents of Smersh, some of these other games, they have a big giant paragraph book where you are going to be reading narrative events and making decisions based on those events and having an adventure. So I'm a sucker and love Greek mythology, okay?
Yeah.
So one of my favorite themes. I love Tales of the Arabian Nights, which is a great game. I think it's hilarious. It's so much fun. It's a classic. It's been around, 30, 40 years, I think.
You
at this
sing
point.
a lot at home? Arabian Nights.
If I could sing better, I would sing more.
I can't sing well, but I sing all the time.
My wife and my other son are the singers in the family. But no, so I actually, on Board Game Geek, when I was just me, I realized quickly I can't go after and design all the games I want to, but I have a lot of ideas.
Well, I saw your satisfaction chart with no scientific backing.
Yeah, so I put a list of like, hey, here's some stuff I would love to do and publish, but I don't have time to design. If you bring me one of these designs, I will at a minimum consider and look at it, like at an absolute minimum. And so years pass, and like I never have anyone bring me even one thing from the list, which it's probably buried on Board Game Geek. It's gone in the wind. And then one day, someone comes out and they say, hey, we want to show you, we have a Greek mythology paragraph game. Do you want to look at it?
The creators of Everdell actually wrote like, we got this idea for critters. You didn't even pay attention.
I wish Everdell people came to me. No, I was like, hell yeah, I want to look at this. And so that's how it started, and here we are.
That's awesome.
Getting ready to, it's going to be on GameFound. I think we're still finalizing the date, but I think around October timeframe. And it's going to be a big box with lots of stuff in it. So definitely keep an eye out for that. You can join our newsletter at vanrydergames.com or join our Discord, my favorite place to interact with fans. Asha knows that. So yeah, come hang out with us and join the Van Ryder community.
Well, so AJ, I have to say, huge fan of the Greek. My kids actually have watched the Odyssey. They're excited about it. But again, I think in terms of when you look at your business model, you've started at the worst time you could. You fought through, you chased your own ideas, you hit an amazing idea that's changed the board game industry for a lot of people, brought a lot of different people in, and you're always evolving yourself. In fact, here at this show, I even walked away with 3 Choose Your Own Adventure books from Van Ryder that my kids are really excited to go home and get their hands on. So, from our perspective here at Champions Tabletop, we are such big fans of what you're doing, and we can't thank you enough for all of the time that you've given us. Shay, what do you do?
All right.
You're the biggest fan. You're the big. I have to. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
That's good. So I was going to say questions, but I have none. He went through all of them. I was going to be like, hey, Piano Girl's good, but how about these other? Then he did it, so I have nothing.
All right. Well, I got a question for you.
Okay, talk to me.
I want to hear about your most memorable Final Girl game that you've had.
Oh, okay. So I have been doing Final Girl with people. Like, I always love, because I will add everything. Like, I would be like the narrator who says all the gruesome deaths or what it is. And
that's how we do it at conventions, yeah.
And that's what.
Look right here.
Yeah, they're doing it right now.
Yeah.
And that is where I see like the best fun. But for me, when I finally beat, because I was losing everyone, and then I get to the Sacred Groves.
Okay. That's one of the hardest ones.
The hardest ones. And I'm like, I like the story. I somewhat I tell people I'm somewhat more for the killer, because if people are messing up a sacred grove, you get tourists, you get what's coming. But I went through and out. I lost the first time, of course, but I played the second time, and for me, with that being the first one I won, I was geeked.
You were jumping up and down.
I was there. I mean, I wish I was streaming or recording it, because there were definitely noises that my neighbors did not understand why I was being so happy. But yeah, so that will always go into my mind as my favorite moment.
Nice.
As it.
I love it.
Oh,
that is a big moment. Some people play that one multiple times, and some people still have never beat it, and they just give up. They're like, this is too hard.
I feel like it was just, sometimes it's luck of cards. Sometimes it's like when you get the right items. And so that is...
It is not predictable.
It's not predictable, but that's what I love about it. It's not predictable. It gives you that horror feel to it. I can't stop talking enough about it. I definitely have I know at least 3 people addicted at the shop.
I love it.
Because I love that game. So that is my favorite Final Girl moment.
For Series 3?
So we're going to talk about that. Okay, so Series 3. I was hanging out, right? We talked. You asked what my favorite thing was.
My favorite horror movie?
My favorite horror movie.
Right.
And I was like, Saw is my favorite horror movie. The first one, because it was so methodical. And it was that. And we were like geeking about it, like, I loved it. Series 3 was announced. Later on, I was like, thank you. I know you can't take it, but thank you. I go see the Kickstarter video. Who is the first person in there? It was Saw.
It's the Tormentor.
The Tormentor. Well, no. It was the Tormentor, because that's what I love. They have so many
inspirations
for so many different things. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's definitely Saw. I mean, that's inspiration. It's Tormentor.
So Tormentor is, she is setting death traps for people. And yes, that is a big inspiration for sure.
And that's what I love. Like, you don't, because of course the IP, again, trying to get IPs all over the place, but just having like enough where you can get the feel of it.
Make it our own.
We
have our inspiration, and we make it our own.
And that's what I love, because that's really a fan service. But I've been told, because I can fangirl a lot about Final Girl and all this, I should stop or slow down. So I just want to say thank you.
We are happy to do it. Trust me. It is our absolute pleasure.
I appreciate you.
Well,
champs, that is AJ, Van Ryder Games. Please like, subscribe, do all the things. And as always, champions never stop playing. And for this one, even in death.